Warren, thank you. The lengthy introduction. Good morning.
Morning.
Let me start by saying congratulations. Congratulations first to the county, the two supervisors who are here for convening this task force. And thank you and congratulations to all of you for agreeing to be leaders on these issues. As I see the charge that you have from the county, you've been asked to look at issues of supply. There's an acknowledgement that the cost of housing and wage levels contribute to a jobs housing gap. That will be a topic that the Board of Supervisors will take up elsewhere. Your focus, as it says in the charge and in the mission, is to figure out how to preserve and increase rental and ownership housing at all price levels. Let me repeat that. Preserving and increasing rental and ownership housing at all price levels. You have a difficult task. Because in order to do that, you're going to simply have to address the issue of density. There is no more land. We're not going to touch our open space. It is a part of our sacred heritage now, and we will not build there. We'll no longer fill in the bay. So the only choice that we have, if we're going to increase supply, is that we're going to have to reuse and repurpose the land that's already in our built environment. We'll have no other choice. So it means more units on the same land, higher buildings, density. Now the challenge that you will face as you have these conversations about density is that the people who live here will say, no more people, no more traffic, no more housing. Because the people who live here do not have a jobs housing imbalance. In fact, they're in perfect balance. They have a job. We have the lowest unemployment rate in the state. Our people are employed, they have jobs. And if they live here, they're housed here. So they don't have a jobs housing imbalance. And they don't really understand sometimes what we talk about when we talk about this. Additionally, our homeowners also fear that if we build more housing, we decrease the value of their biggest single investment, their home. So as you have conversations about the need to address more housing, you'll need to address the concerns of our residents. You will need models that show that more housing at all price levels will not impact home values. And you'll also need to address transportation. In fact, I'm absolutely convinced that you cannot talk anymore about housing without talking about transportation in the exact same sentence. We will need more options for public transit, options that aren't even yet on the table. We'll need new funding and new projects for transit. Caltrain is going to have to be fully converted from a legacy commuter rail line to a fully functioning rapid transit system. That is going to mean that we're going to have to plan and fully grade separate the entire rail corridor. And we're going to have to create also more passing track options. Changes that will also be difficult for our residents to contemplate. And so you are going to have to talk about change. And let me be clear, we will change. Warren mentioned that I was born here, born at Mills Hospital in 1948. My parents bought their first home in 1950 in what was a brand new subdivision called Hillsdale. Most of my growing up years, my elementary school years, were in Hillsborough. And we lived on the west edge of Hillsborough. At the end of my block, there was a large, huge open field. In fact, it was open space forever. There was a seasonal pond that developed in that field every year. And in the spring, I would go collect pollywogs and watch them turn into frogs. I'm a little concerned that I collected red-legged frog, and I apologize that I didn't know. That pond is long gone. More housing. And in fact, that vast open space that I used to look at as a child now has a major highway going through it, 280, because that wasn't there when I grew up in Hillsborough. And so, we are different than we once were, and we will be different again. To me, the future is pretty clear. We're going to have to build on land that we presently use. We're going to have to build smaller living units. We're going to have greater density. And we will be far more urban in our look, in our feel. Now, if we don't make this change, we'll be unable to house the people who need to work here. Our economic engine that drives our great prosperity will move. They won't stay. We'll look like towns in the Midwestern industrial belt. Our downtown storefronts will be empty shells, and we will become a legacy community. Change is our only option. Charles Darwin once said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor is it the most intelligent of the species that survives. The one that survives is the one most responsive to change." The future belongs to those who can adapt and change. Your challenge as a member of this task force is to confront the change that needs to occur in our county, and to help all of those who live here to accept that change. You have important and critical work ahead, and I wish you the very best.